McPhee is not able to attend today's meeting, so as Deputy Mayor, I will be chairing for today. So with that, I will call to order the Legislative Committee meeting of August 10th. So any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Warba, all in favor? Everyone had a chance to read the minutes from our last meeting. Everything was all right. Motion to approve the minutes. All in favor? And on to delegations, we have Director Rowe. Sorry?
Excuse me, Deputy Mayor, who made the motion to adopt the minutes?
Councillor Rudick. Sorry.
Thank you.
We'll get this by the time we're at the end. Okay, we can continue on then with Director Rowe with Mundare Agra Days Parade.
Thank you. We have a request from the town of Mundare for town council to take part in their annual Agra Days Parade on Saturday, August 25th. The tourism coordinator has made arrangements with the Vegreville Chamber to provide a float, a driver, and a vehicle. And we're just looking if there's any councillors that are interested in riding on the float in the Mundare Parade. It is Saturday, August 21st. So if anybody's interested, I'll send out a calendar notice to everybody. And if anyone's interested, they can respond back to me.
Okay, we'll look forward to that notice. Carry on to the RCMP Q1 quarterly report.
Yes, thanks again. I have a letter here and a report from Staff Sergeant Terry Hagen, and along with a letter dated July 26, 2021 to Mayor McPhee. Please find attached the quarterly community policing report that covers April 1st to June 30th, 2021 reporting period. The attached report serves as to provide a quarterly snapshot of the human resources, financial data, and crime statistics for the Vegreville detachment. The Alberta RCMP remains committed to enhancing trust with the communities it serves. Body-worn cameras are one way to enhance trust by increasing transparency of police interactions with citizens. We want to ensure all Albertans have the confidence that the justice system is there to protect them. As such, included in this community policing report package is an information package on body-worn cameras, which will slowly be phased into operations over the later stages of this year. In terms of costing, the federal government recognized that this was not in the multi-year financial plans for contract partners, and thus has agreed to fund the first 3 years of the rollout. This will further provide some time for contract partners to factor this into their future planning process. As we are still assessing the rollout, we're unable to provide community-specific cost estimates. Once costing is known, we'll provide financial forecasting to our communities with municipal policing service agreements. Our first priority is always the safety and security of Albertans, and this report, along with your valued feedback, will allow us to assess and enhance our policing service to ensure we are meeting your needs on an ongoing basis. Accountability, efficacy, and transparency are the cornerstones of our service delivery as we continue to address the priorities that are important to your community. As the Chief of Police for your community, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or concerns. I won't go into the policing report in great depth. Everybody has it. They can have a look at it. I will just highlight a couple of things that the Staff Sergeant and I discussed. On page 3 of 6, the total criminal code, you can see there's an increase of 38% from 2020 to 2021. Persons crimes are down 8%. Property crime is up 3%, so it's pretty level. It is the other criminal codes that you'll see a significant increase, and if council is that drug offenses, alcohol offenses, traffic-related offenses, so impaireds, excessive speeds, all fall under the criminal code now. And of course, there's a 58% increase in mental health related incidents. So those are, some of the big changes that they've seen over the difference from this quarter to the same quarter in 2020. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to contact the staff sergeant or through myself, and I can get a list of questions and have them answered.
Does anybody have any questions right now for Director Rowe? Councillor Rudick?
Thank you for presenting these, Director Rowe. Some of the questions that I would have would be to actually assess a little bit more about, for example, the mental health related incidents, just to see if there's been a difference in reporting or collection of data, because that's quite an alarming increase, 58% increase. And just wanted to peel that back a little bit and see what kind of cooperation there is with other orders of assistance like mental health, Alberta Health Services and such. So I'd be looking forward to having the quarterly update from Constable Hagan or Sergeant Hagan when he has an opportunity in the future. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? The mental health is the huge one for sure, and that's probably where the drug incidents and the alcohol incidents, abuses are there as well. Okay, so if there's nothing else, you can carry on.
So this will be coming on Monday to receive and file, and when Staff Sergeant Hagan returns, they'll arrange to have him present this to Town Council.
Did you want to go a little more into the body camera aspect of it, or pretty much laid out in the handout?
Yeah, so there's an attachment there on the body worn cameras that the RCMP are going to be implementing. Our community peace officers already wear the body worn cameras, and every time they do a traffic stop or they attend something, it's automatically starts recording from their vehicle. Sorry, we don't have the body worn cameras. We have the cameras, and then it's pointed at the scene, and then they have a microphone. The RCMP are actually going to have now a camera that will sit on their body, and it'll record. So it'll record every interaction that they're at, not just in the cars as the way it is now. So.
And is that going to change for bylaw? They're going to have the body worn cameras, or just stay where they are right now?
There's nothing for peace officers this time that we have to go to that system yet. Will it come down the road? More than likely, I'm sure the Peace Officers Association will be lobbying for this down the road, but not at this point.
Any questions on the body worn cameras? It's a very important tool to have, I'm sure, as we've seen in other municipalities. Okay, thank you. Can carry on to Director Lefebvre with the subdivision application.
Thank you, Worship. This request for council decision will be showing up at the regular town council meeting, the next one. I'll just read it out quickly. This is a subdivision application file number 21 TOW 001 for lots 20 to 25 on block 65 plan 7 82 34 27. The proposal is to have town council review the attached list of requirements form for subdivision application file number and grant approval to subdivision authority to proceed with the application. The Community Service Department reviewed the draft Parks and Open Spaces plan and noted that the need for access from the 60th Avenue and 54th Street neighborhood to the park space to the south. This can be achieved through registering a walking path right of way and adjusting the lot line slightly. An estimated cost of $7,000 is required for a survey and restaking the new lot sizes and registration at Alberta Land Titles. Once approved to proceed with the process, the subdivision authority officer will, as per the Municipal Government Act, send notification to the subdivision application to the government departments, persons, local authorities as required by the subdivision and development regulation, the adjacent landowners, and also to post on the town's website and social media. So the recommendation is going to be that Town Council review the list of requirements form for subdivision application number 21 TOW 001, and that approval be given to the subdivision authority to proceed with this application, and further that council approve the cost of $7,000 to be funded from the general operating reserve. And if you scroll up, you will see the form itself, and then the mapping. The first one you're going to come to shows what it is now currently, the lot sizes. So on the right-hand side, those lots are 110 by 52 feet. A little variance on the farthest west lot. So they're about 5,720 square feet each. We're going to remove one lot, put in a public utility lot, and then make the remaining lots a little larger. So if you scroll to the final attachment, you can see that now they're still 110 obviously, but now about 59 feet wide with a 13-foot public utility lot to allow public access from that whole neighborhood, which is quite large, into the new park area.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Are you able to follow the map? I know myself, people have heard that I'm all about walking trails, as is Councillor Lemko. The more in this area, the better that we can handle right now, look at right now, would be greatly appreciated for sure. And this will come down on Monday.
Once we get our approvals and authorities, then it will come to the next appropriate regular council meeting.
Okay, thank you. So
But
there's-
yes, we're hoping for the next council meeting to start the process, yeah.
Okay, so if there's no further questions on that, you have a development permit application as well?
We have a development permit application. This will also be coming to the next regular scheduled council meeting. It's Ms. Gayla Spadell. She lives at 5125 51st Avenue, which is currently districted as direct control. She just wants to put a temporary tent structure in the rear yard, which is acceptable to the land use bylaw, but because it's in direct control, council will make decisions on every development permit in a direct control district, and that's why it's here, and that's why it will come to the next regular council meeting with the recommendation from our department to move forward and approve the application.
Anyone have any questions on this one? I'm doing all the talking today. Okay. All right, so we'll see that one. Thank you. And now we're on to Town Manager Cliff Craig, the hotel tax penalty request.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have a request from Hotello Group requesting that their tax penalties for the past 3 years be waived. There is a schedule attached with the correspondence. So they are looking at penalties of $58,036.28 to be waived, and cost of $10, which is the tax notification charge. So typically, unless there's administrative errors, tax penalties are not normally waived. But we bring each request to Town Council for consideration.
Okay,
Okay.
Councillor Barry.
Thank you. I was going to ask questions there. Implying that they're endeavoring to sell this property, do they have buyers in line right now, or is this speculation?
I don't know that. Sorry.
Because I don't think it's our general policy to waive tax penalties. So
Correct.
I don't really feel comfortable with it unless it was to ensure a sale, which would put it back into tax brackets. It's about the only way it would be beneficial. So you're saying this will come back down to us?
Correct. This will be at the council meeting on Monday night.
Thank you.
Councillor Warwick.
Just refresh our memory, Cliff, I see because I'm looking at it being multiple years, did we have this request yearly, or is this the first time they're requesting, and they're requesting at this point for the entire time period?
This is the only request we have received for this property.
Anyone else? Okay, so we're gonna see this on Monday again,
Yes, you will?
okay, and that's 3 years of penalties.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess I am Mayor McPhee, next on the agenda, and Mr. Craig there will be helping me out with this one, starting with the 2021 AUMA Fall Convention.
Okay. We have received, I'll just read quickly. It's, we are writing to inform you of a potential opportunity for municipal councils to meet with the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, at the 2021 AUMA Fall Convention, scheduled for November 17 through 19, 2021. It is our hope that these meetings will be in person. We understand there may be newly elected officials on council, and the meeting requirements may change following the municipal elections. However, should your municipality wish to meet with Minister McIver during the convention, please submit a request to his office no later than September 10, 2021. In your meeting request, please be sure to include 2 specific policy items or issues your municipality would like to discuss with the minister. In the past, we have had arranged a meeting with the minister, but we don't necessarily do this every year. Okay, so if council would like to have a meeting with the minister, we can go ahead, and then we would need the 2 items that you would like discussed that would relate to municipal affairs.
Okay. I was just gonna say that with it gonna be a new council at that time, it'd be a little difficult maybe to have questions. Councillor Rudick.
I was just gonna say, along the same lines, if we can maybe have this as a bring forward date, we've got a council meeting just before the deadline, that's September 10th, so we can maybe just bring it back and see if there's any burning issues that we wanna make sure we don't miss that deadline, and then the next council can also take a look at it. So, is it possible the September 10th? We've got a meeting just before that.
That'd be fine. And just so you know, these, the note goes on to say, meeting times with the minister are scheduled for approximately 20 minutes per municipality. So it's a very quick meeting. But okay, we will bring this forward then to the council meeting, or pardon me, to the committee meeting on September 7.
Okay.
Sorry.
Councillor Warwick, did you? Oh, thank you. Okay, we will bring that forward. Next is the Crow's Nest Pass Bill C-21.
Okay, this is a letter a copy of a letter from Crow's Nest Pass addressed to the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, a Member of Parliament. Bill C-21, Changes to Criminal Code and Firearms Act. On behalf of the municipality of Crow's Nest Pass, we are writing to express our concerns with respect to Bill C-21 to make changes to the Criminal Code and Firearms Act. With respect to the provision to allow municipalities to create handgun bylaws, we would place conditions, which would place conditions on federal firearm licenses relating to handgun use, storage, or transportation within municipalities that have passed such bylaws. Council has passed the following motion at their June 8 meeting of Municipal Council in opposition to the federal Bill C-21. Councillor Sikatak moved that Municipality of Crow's Nest Pass is opposed to the adoption of any bylaws restricting the possession, storage, and transportation of legally obtained handguns, and that administration write a letter to Prime Minister Trudeau with similar information as provided by Kingsville, Ontario, which will be copied to all Alberta municipalities, Member of Parliament Shannon Stubbs, Member of Parliament John Barlow, and to the Leader of the Official Opposition, Aaron O'Toole. Carried. With the province of Alberta sending Bill 211 to royal assent on April 29, our provincial government is ensuring that municipalities are not saddled with trying to find the resources to impose or enforce gun control, by creating inconsistent bylaws between jurisdictions. As most municipalities across the province are rural in nature and would be faced with the same problems in attempting to enforce legislation of this nature, we are anticipating that the sentiment will be the same across most jurisdictions and hope that those municipalities in opposition will make their position known to the federal government as well. We are also concerned that Bill C-21 is only targeting citizens that have licenses, not criminals that have already obtained firearms illegally and would never comply with a municipal bylaw. This will create a very confusing system that could result in an otherwise law-abiding citizen now sentenced by 2 years imprisonment or permanent license revocation for unknowingly being in contravention of a bylaw in a community with different bylaws. We thank you for your kind attention to this matter and request the federal government reconsider these changes to the Criminal Code and Firearms Act. Sincerely, Mayor Blair Painter, Municipality of Crow's Nest Pass.
Okay, so I don't know how council feels with our municipality enforcing something like this. If we were to follow up with a letter as well, Council Warwa?
So I know we've spoke on this issue already. It was brought because these guys are aware of it because the MP sent it out to everybody. So it went to every municipality. So it was kind of, I find it a little funny when we get them back as if we're kind of being informed. Having said that, I think that the wording of the letter may already have been in place. I think Mr. Craig had spoken about before. So have we sent it out officially or we're just sort of in the process?
No, our letter was sent out from the Office of the Mayor.
Okay, and the letter was opposing this
Correct.
bylaw.
Correct.
Anyone else, Councillor Rudick?
Just so that council's informed, I've also added this to a list of municipalities and forwarded it to our FCM advocacy group too, so that they're aware that it continues to be a concern.
Okay. So we've looked after it on our end for our municipality already. To a point. Okay, and then we have Town of Claresholm.
Okay, this is a copy of a letter from the Town of Claresholm addressed to Premier Jason Kenney, re Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, retroactive pay. At the last regular meeting of Claresholm Town Council held Monday, July 19, 2021, Council discussed the recent developments that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, have been drawing closer to an agreement that will require retroactive pay to be issued. This has been brought to our attention by the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, or AUMA. Municipalities in Alberta, such as ours, under total population of 5,000, have recently been subjected to increasing our property tax rates on citizens and businesses in order to cover the cost of policing in our province. It is also something that we are not able to requisition for, which has further made raising the funds a contentious issue. Our taxpayers are being directly affected by the increase already and will feel the burden even more if our municipality must pay a share of the RCMP's pay increases. Claresholm Town Council respectfully requests that the Alberta government ensures that Alberta municipalities are not charged with assisting and funding the RCMP's retroactive pay when the agreement is complete. It should be up to the provincial and federal governments to deal with any shortfalls and not to overload municipalities with further monetary strain. If you have any questions or concerns regarding this, please contact the undersigned at your convenience. Yours truly, Doug McPherson, Mayor, Town of Claresholm.
I think Mayor McPhee and yourself, Councillor Roy, had a discussion with that.
Yeah, that was just the only point. Part of our discussion with Minister Madu, we did bring this issue forward and let him know that this would be an extreme strain on municipalities, and we would certainly be looking forward, especially given the fact that we have no negotiating powers as a municipality, and the bill just essentially comes forward to us, that at the very least, forgetting about the actual increases, that the retro pay is just something that can't be downloaded to municipalities. So we certainly, I believe the minister is well aware of how we felt with that, and that was an issue needs to be addressed. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more. We haven't heard anything back to my knowledge from them as an update on it, but this is be a big issue if it gets downloaded to municipalities for sure.
Oh, for sure. Have we followed that meeting up with a letter at all? Was that a discussion?
We are in the process of doing so because there were a number of points raised during the meeting.
Okay. Anyone else? Councillor Rudick?
Just sort of along those lines, Mayor McPhee and I attended the AUMA Elected Leaders Summer Tour. And needless to say, policing was a hot topic of discussion. So some of the things that just to remind all of us, again, of the concerns about the ongoing costs, and Director Rowe talked about the body cameras and the additional equipment. So it's not just the impending increase in cost, but the equipment is changing as well as the contracting, all of which we have no control over. But there is also another consideration too that we haven't talked a lot about here, about the allocation of victim services funds. And that's of great concern because as it stands right now, the money that is currently collected, or it used to be, directed towards local efforts. So victim services in Vegreville would be assisting victims of crime. It can be absconded and used provincially and used elsewhere, which is a concern of growing magnitude. So just to add another area of consideration or just awareness for all of us here that that's something that will be coming forward a little bit more in discussion because AUMA is talking about that with the provincial government too.
Okay. And victim services is vital. Myself personally, I've used them twice. So very important to have them for sure. Okay, so we are following up with that and see what can be done. So the town of Claresholm has another letter on the code of conduct.
Okay, there again, this is a copy of a letter from the town of Claresholm Code of Conduct. At the last regular meeting of Claresholm Town Council held Monday, July 19, 2021, Council discussed the councillor codes of conduct instituted by the Alberta government on October 26, 2017. It has been brought to our attention by the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, or AUMA, that the current Alberta government has plans in the works to remove the requirement for municipalities to have a code of conduct in place to govern all councillors equally by way of bylaw. The town of Claresholm passed bylaw 1641, the council code of conduct bylaw, on April 9, 2018, prior to the government's deadline of July 23, 2018. In the current council's first year of governance, it became inherently clear how important a councillor code of conduct is, as our council had to undergo advanced communication training and contract outside mediation to overcome some contentious issues. Claresholm Town Council respectfully requests that your ministry tread this path lightly to make sure that the consultation with municipalities in Alberta is completed prior to any major changes being made. The Alberta Urban Municipalities Association should be highly involved, and the town of Claresholm fully supports their efforts. Having a requirement for municipalities to have a code of conduct bylaw in place provides a framework for council members' behavior and provides each council direction and guidance for dealing with any contentious issues that may arise. It is imperative that the option of imposing sanctions on council members continues as necessary to support this process. Claresholm Town Council requests that the council code of conduct bylaw requirement remains in place. If you have any questions or concerns regarding this issue, please contact the undersigned. Yours truly, Doug McPherson, Mayor, Town of Claresholm, and this letter is addressed to the Honourable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Just going to start by saying I don't know how the rest of council feels about this code of conduct. Being my first term on council, I felt it was a great guide to have and something to know where your role is and where things are and what the next steps are when things do get a little heated. Anyone else to weigh in on that, Councillor Barry?
Thank you. I agree with that entirely. I believe that it was important for us to put together a council code of conduct. I do have a question though. Is there any knowledge that they intend to replace it with something in the act that would be better grounds than just the bylaw? Or are they looking at just eliminating? Because if they're just eliminating, it doesn't seem to make sense. I think that you always have to have guidelines. The beautiful thing about having a bylaw that has guidelines is that if something comes up, you have the option to actually address it. If you don't have a bylaw, if there's no consequences, then you can't do anything about it. So I think that I'm shocked that they would consider deleting it totally.
My understanding, it is an elimination of the requirement. I have not been informed of any potential replacement.
It doesn't make sense.
Councillor Rudick?
So this was another hot topic at our elected leaders caucus. And so what kicked it off was the AUMA Respect in Local Government pledge that a lot of councils or candidates are taking. And it basically espouses what happens in this chamber, that it's a nonpartisan, respectful environment, that we approach the election the same way, and that this is the major difference between local government as compared to federal and provincial. So that led all of the elected officials gathered to talk about what is the intention of a code of conduct, that it can't stop bad behavior, but it won't actually do anything until they're actually elected. But in the absence of such, there is no recourse for somebody that is potentially acting in an unethical or contrary to a code of conduct that has been decided as mutually beneficial. So it was largely felt that not only respect in local government pledge should be taken by candidates that are running in the elections in fall, but in addition that the code of conduct, while it may not have the teeth to punish, it does have the intention of setting parameters and guidelines that are very important for all of us, that this is a high-level discussion. We're not getting down in the dirt, and that we do important work here, and in order to do that, we need to have a code of conduct. So I agree. It's confusing and concerning that that would be eliminated.
Okay. So as council, would we be following up with a letter on this as well, or what are the feelings on that? If we feel it's important, we should probably support that as well. Councillor Barry?
I think it might be pertinent for us to bring this forward to our regular meeting and discuss it in a little more detail and make that decision at that time.
Okay. All right, so we will continue on to Town of Rocky Mountain House, cancellation of hazardous waste funding.
This is a copy of a letter from the Town of Rocky Mountain House addressed to the Honorable Jason Nixon, Minister of Environment and Parks. Recancellation of household hazardous waste funding. Under the Town of Rocky Mountain House strategic plan, Council is committed to being an environmental leader. Our municipality has focused on waste reduction and diversion, with the notable recent achievements of opening the Town of Rocky Mountain Eco Center and launching a residential curbside organics collection program. Our 6,800 residents have embraced these programs, and households are taking careful stewardship of their waste. In this context, we are disappointed to learn the Government of Alberta has ceased disposal funding for the Provincial Household Hazardous Waste, or HHW, program as of June 1, 2021. Alberta Environment and Parks grant provided for the safe collection and transportation of these goods, while Alberta Infrastructure waived disposal fees at the Swan Hills Treatment Centre. This action burdens municipalities with a $2 million annual cost to safely dispose of HHW. Given the financial strain on municipalities affected by the global pandemic, this decision by Alberta government will force Albertans to take a step backwards in responsible waste disposal. Town of Rocky Mountain House urges you to take a long view of responsible waste management. With the pending transition to Extended Producer Responsibility, or ERP, in Alberta, we are encouraging you to either reinstate HHW funding for municipalities or expedite the implementation of EPR for HHW, thus mitigating the HHW disposal financial burden on municipalities. If you have any questions, I can be reached at email address or phone at the number. Alternatively, you may contact our Chief Administrative Officer at email or phone. And this is signed by Tammy Burke, Mayor of Town of Rocky Mountain House.
Okay, we were fortunate to have Minister Nixon visit us recently, and he toured our recycling facility and our landfill facility, and I do believe Mayor McPhee did discuss with him a bit of the household hazardous waste roundup that we had and how successful that was and what it kept out of our landfill. So that was put in his ear for sure. Don't know where it's gonna go or what things are gonna look like, but if anyone else wants to weigh in, Councillor Barry?
Yes, thank you. The discussion that occurred there was finalized with, we recognize the problem. We just haven't got the solution as of yet, but we're working on it. So they are aware of the need to maintain household hazardous waste disposal. So let's hope that they come up with the solution to the problem
Quickly.
quickly. Yes.
Quickly. Our last roundup was very successful. I think every year it's bigger and bigger. Anyone else have anything to add to that? Councillor Roy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one because we saw the success that we have and we can see the long-term benefits to our landfill, for sure. I mean, I guess one of the problems comes up, and we know that I can be critical on some of the sometimes provincial announcements, but I mean, the fact also remains that we keep seeing a situation where group after group after group doesn't want anything cut. So, I mean, I feel like the province is in a spot where I'm not suggesting this is what needs to be cut. I mean, they have to look at long and hard, but there's no way that they're going to have reduction of costs and budgets and deficits if we don't have any level of anything cut. So, I think it's going to be a really hard run for them. I've had a discussion with some people from, not with the minister himself, but some people from his office. And I know that one of the things they've looked at is, in the long term, what is the best way financially? Is it to put up money for funding for things like this now, or to create another solution and looking at over a longer period of time which one ends up being more viable for the funding? So, you know, I think it's a hard time. We know how well we do here, and I think that it's kudos to Vegreville. I think we are very ahead of the game in comparison to some municipalities. We have facilities both between our landfill and our VMRF that we should be really proud of. And I think it's, I would suggest that I think we actually lead as a hub in the area. So I just want to take this opportunity maybe to say kudos to our people that are doing the work that they do, because we're certainly leading in it. So that's all.
Sure, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Rudick?
I would echo some of those same comments, and maybe just mine a little sentence from the next letter that is to Minister Panda too, talking about the implementation of the extended producer responsibility might be a way to offset some of those end costs that are borne by the municipality. And again, it was great to have the minister here and be able to have his attention for an extended period of time and be able to showcase our practices here, and also make sure that we talked about a wide range of issues, including extended producer responsibility, household hazardous waste, and the staff were able to highlight some of those numbers. I don't know if you have those at your fingertips, no. But just to, again, reiterate that the increase in awareness of the public needs to be matched by the increased attention by the government, and whether that looks like increased money, like Councillor Warwas said, there's a limited set of resources, but maybe there needs to be a better way to do that. And I think extended producer responsibility, which is front-loading it to the manufacturers, is a better way than ultimately every municipality having to deal with waste. So I think that might be a long-term goal, and hopefully we'll see a delivery that won't end up making us bear the cost for costly decisions.
A lot of discussions for Minister Nixon there, for sure. Okay, so we're going to carry on now to the round table discussion, and I'm going to start with Councillor Barry.
Actually, I don't really have anything to report this time around. I think that no concerns have really been brought to me. I think that I would just say kudos for a well-run fair. I thought that, so that's about all I want to say is that from my side of it, I thought it was a very good community event. Thank you.
Councillor Lemko.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. I must also add that there's not many concerns that I've received at all, or if any at all, but I'd like to extend a sincere kudos to the Ag Society, who on July 1st were still in lockdown until the announcement, and they were able to pull off a 5-day fair in a month, and a fabulous fair. I was fortunate enough to be shuttling for 2 days at the fair, and the amount of people that I shuttled came from as far away as Drayton Valley, Lloydminster, Bonnyville, Legal, Gibbons, Smoky Lake, all to come to a fair that they are unable to attend in their own communities because they were just not able to have them. And those people brought many members of the family with them, spending dollars in our community or fuel or whatever, stopping at our grocery stores and our businesses. And I must add that at the fair on Saturday was probably the busiest I've ever seen it in the 45 years I've lived in this town. And 90% of the people there I could not recognize or who they were. So they were obviously from outside of our community coming into our community. So kudos to the fair. A splendid job they did, and I really like the new, the route. It got us closer to the people. You could actually go to both sides of the street and still keep up to the float where all the candy was. So kudos to them, kudos to the organizing committee and all that. So also I'd like to add that it's good to see the Main Street getting worked on, and all the people and all the buzz in the community and all the structures going up. It's a busy place to be in right now, and that's wonderful. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councillor Rudick.
The fair was a great time for all. I'll just take a little bit of a different piece of information from that. So it was also 30-year high school reunion for some of us. And so that brought back some people that haven't been here for a long time, some of them since they graduated. And the change in the landscape in the community is appreciable, enough that some of them felt like maybe they should move back here. And I said, for sure. The Ag Society should be very proud of the volunteers and the community for pulling together. It was incredibly busy, and their preliminary numbers show that there was over 21,000 attendees over 5 days. And those are the people that they actually registered coming through the gate, but after a certain time, you don't actually need to check in. So there actually probably were more, which is amazing. They were expecting on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to have the same amount of attendees as the size of our community, which is incredible. So again, volunteers made that happen. And some of the attendees, when I was working at the information booth, came because of the corn maze. So they had been here last year and thought the corn maze was so great and the community was so great that they had marked it into their calendar to come for this year. So again, small things can lead to big outcomes. And I think just the hum that's in the community right now too, there's lots of construction. It was a really good feel for people that haven't been here before and people that have returned after a long absence to be able to see there's lots happening here and we've got lots to be proud of. And I also had a few marketing people that do not live here that have messaged me about our new logo and basically said, amazing, love it, and way to bridge to the future. So thanks to our communications team. And the last thing I was going to say is I had a number of messages about gold medal from Sherwood Park is actually the granddaughter of a Vegreville resident. So the cyclist may be from Sherwood Park, but everybody wants to remember that Taranchuk's, the late Al Taranchuk and Mrs. Taranchuk's granddaughter was the winner of Olympic gold and originates from Vegreville, and her gold medal will be made from recycled materials. So again, we're coming full circle in this meeting, going back to making sure that we're using those household hazardous wastes and keeping them out of the landfill and bringing back gold to Canada. So that's what I've heard.
Thank you. Councillor Wawa.
So mine were mainly the same, obviously was about a little bit about the Ag Society and what a great job. And just to reiterate on the parade route, What we were told too is that they were finding more areas that were easily accessible for people that had, some accessibility issues, and easier parking. So really like that. I also like the ability to go back and forth a little bit more. I found it really quite a good route. So I think we definitely need to pass that on to the Ag Society. Again, they're volunteers. The other I heard about was the fireworks. People said they thought it was a really good fireworks display. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was just a little bit of kind of just to mention our local RCMP. We're of course on site, but so were our two peace officers. And they were there a lot of the time, and I, would appreciate, I guess, a kudos maybe, Phil, to the guys. They were obviously, standing at times with the officers and assisting, but they were also walking through the crowd and interacting with people. And I thought that was really nice to see. And obviously in a professional manner and in a somewhat of a job-related role, but also just talking to the kids. And I think that seeing some interaction with them and some of our younger attendees, meaning more teenage younger, was nice. So, I would appreciate sharing that with them. So, and that's actually all I got. No phone calls on complaints. Thank you.
And I'm going to put a little rain on that parade. So yes, some people concerned with everything happening downtown, that they can't park and it's difficult to walk. So basically my thing was the inconvenience of today is for a better tomorrow. So it's going to look fantastic pretty quick. Yeah. Okay, so that was the only rain I had besides the one we had on Saturday. Yeah, the parade was fantastic. There was a lot of people that echoing a lot of what the councillors said. They liked the route, easier parking, sitting, visiting, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm sure the volunteers from the Ag Society, a lot of them are still recovering, which is a good problem to have, I guess. But very nice to see all of the people coming to Vegreville and keeping Vegreville on the map. So to all the volunteers for that, I say thank you. So yeah, other than that, I don't have anything else. We'll continue on to director highlights, and we'll go on to Phil Rowe.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a few items. The Arena Ice Plant will be firing up next Monday, and they'll have take the week to put in ice in preparation for the upcoming hockey and skating season. Tourism and culture are busy prepping for corn maze activities that will be happening after the September long weekend. I'd like to report from FCSS that the Sizzlin' Summer program has been an amazing success this year. It's been absolutely packed, and the kids are having a great time. Myself, my staff, we've submitted 3 grants in July, all for walking trails and park upgrades. So we should be hearing back in mid to late September if we are successful on them. Municipal enforcement has given over 220 notices for yard maintenance this summer since the beginning of April. So that the town is looking good. They're following up on them. Officer Parepalik and I have been working together on generating some reports for council from the speed monitoring signs as well too. So he's been doing some work this past year on figuring out how that data is all collected and analyzing it so that we can give you a quick snapshot. So if anybody asks about speed in the community, that we can download that data from those signs and easily create something for you. So other than that, on with the summer still.
Okay, thank you. Director Lefebvre.
Thank you, Your Worship. And your comments about the busyness downtown and inconveniencing some of our people, we all have to remember the last time we did this was 30 years ago. So I'm hoping that we don't do it again for another 30. So, but we appreciate their patience. We'll start with the 2021 Capital Works. The crosswalk edging has been replaced with new concrete. We put some gravel material in for temporary. The sidewalk crews are rolling in now and doing just the sidewalk, and that's piecework, so if it's in decent shape, it stays, and if it's a tripping hazard, then it goes. Up on Main Street right now, you can see that the concrete curb edging, the gravel's being removed now, and we're pouring in a Fieldcrete. It's a light mixed 0.5 MPa concrete, so it's a pour in, it's just like pudding, let it harden up, because shortly we'll be opening up the Main Street with speed restrictions to slow people down, because there will be a 2-inch insert bump, if you will, when you cross every of the crossings, until we get to the point where we're going to mill and overlay. The paving work is going to be done by the end of this week. The concrete sidewalk work should be done by actually the end of today, and probably the removal of the gravel and the putting in the Fieldcrete, probably because there's drying time in between of 2 to 3 days for every crossing. I'm expecting by mid to end of next week that's going to be wrapped up. By August is when we'll start on 45th Avenue, August 23rd. So we'll be starting at the water tower on 43rd, or 48th, and going up to 49th, those 2 blocks of the cenotaph. That work will start on the 23rd, and as soon as that is reconstructed and the curbs are done, then they bring in their paver, probably September 7th. These are all tentative right now, because things change with schedules, but that's what we have now. So by September 7th, right after the long weekend, we will pave 45th Ave to the cenotaph, and then we'll go in and mill and overlay Main Street, followed by the small milling marks that put a center line down in the parking stalls, because those were milled and inlaid and poured 30 years ago, and they're still easily identifiable today, so it's a good way to do it. So that would be my report for the construction work. The Land Use Committee did meet yesterday and reviewed certain areas of the current land use bylaw. They have voted in favor and will bring in their recommendation to Town Council at the next regular scheduled council meeting. And we've got 2 districts that have changed, and when that information comes, we'll bring it to you. One's going from an R2 to a direct control, and one's going from a general commercial C2 back to a residential, and we'll explain why and the rationale behind it then, but just let you know that process is moving as quickly as we can make it move. So that's my report, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. And Town Manager highlights.
Thank you. It's been fairly busy this summer. The fire services agreement, there's been preparation and attendance at meetings with the town's ICF committee and the joint town and county committees regarding continued negotiations of the fire services agreement. The CARES grant compliance report, so I am working on the final Community and Regional Economic Support, or CARES grant program grant compliance reporting. Everything is in order. It's just a fairly major report that has to be generated for the end of the grant. Spent time in preparation for Minister Nixon's visit to Vegreville and working with the MLA's office to arrange for site tours of the material recovery facility and the landfill. Attended and/or participated in the following events: AUMA presentation on RCMP contract negotiations update, Prosperity Park photo op with Premier Kenny, and the Innotech welcome and greeting for the field day. So I will be on vacation from August 28 through September 6, returning to work on September 7, just in time for the legislative committee meeting. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. So upcoming events, I'm just going to point out one, September 20th is nomination day, close of nominations. So if anyone's thinking of running for municipal elections, that is the deadline. So from there, we're going to go into closed session, disclosure harmful to economic and other interests of a public body. So if I can have a motion to go into closed session. Councillor Berry?